The market getting somewhat of a boost from rising investor confidence. We're back above that 4,000 mark. What's your reading of market resilience at this stage? Because a lot of the upturn that we have seen is very dependent on foreign fund inflows.
Exactly, Alishia. Last week, week on week, we saw the market move up about 53 bips to about 4,022 points. This was mainly driven up by foreign investor activity, who came in to trade huge numbers, particularly on stocks like Equity and Safaricom. Safaricom, I think, last week moved about 93 million shares and at an average of about 410, 415. So definitely, the market is actually moving towards more of foreign-based investors.
In that context, let's explore the retail investor market here, because we know that Kenya boasts a large retail investor component. So does a ramp up in activity from their end boil down to the fact that we need to see a growth picking up strongly and inflation temper?
We've actually seen almost 50% of the activity reduce on the retail investor side. This is mainly because of the cost of living has actually gone up. We've had fuel prices move from a high of about, from a low of 101 shillings per litre to a highs of about 111 shillings to the litre. Inflation rates are also up. Therefore, we're actually seeing most of the investors actually moving, retail investors moving away from the stock market to either real estate or the extra funds that they had to actually invest in the market. They're actually using it to actually supplement the expenditure. So therefore, we're actually seeing most of the movement is actually towards